Good morning for the audience in Austria and good afternoon to the ones joining from India or from the region. Thank you very much for joining this webinar on e-mobility in India, opportunities in the field of electric mobility. My name is Ajay Singh and I am the Senior Advisor to the Commercial Counsellor at Advantage Austria, New Delhi. Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to all of you. With that, let me move quickly to the introduction on who we are. So as I mentioned, my name is Ajay Singh and I am the Senior Advisor to the Commercial Counsellor at Advantage Austria, New Delhi. I am responsible for startups, new corporates, technology and innovation. New Delhi is our main office in India and we are also present in other countries like Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal and Bhutan with our consultant. In India, we have further regions offices in Mumbai and Bangalore. In Southern Region office in Bangalore, we have Mr. Sampath Kumar, Director South India. And in Western Region office, we have Mr. Ramesh Kallamat, Director West India. If you have any question after the webinar or in general, you can always get in touch with any of our offices in India or in any other countries. So I'll just give you an estimate. There are around 700 plus Austrian companies doing regular businesses in India annually. The number is increasing with we have more than 150 plus Austrian subsidiaries in India, and it's the physical presence of the Austrian companies here in India. For the Austrian exporters, India is the 26th largest export destination for Austria. With that, let me move to the next slide. I will give you an overview of electric mobility in India and the opportunities in the field of e-mobility. Electric mobility in India is at the growth stage, and the Indian automotive industry is the 5th largest in the world and is moving to be the 3rd largest by 2030. Thanks to the large nation and its population, hence catering to a vast domestic market. Reliance on the conventional model of fuel intensity, mobility will not be so sustainable. In an effort to address this, policymakers are developing a mobility option that is shared, connected, and electric, and have projected an ambitious target of achieving 100% electrification by 2030. So you can see that making the shift toward the electric vehicle, India stands to benefit on many fronts. For example, it has a relative abundance of renewable energy resources and availability of skilled manpower. In terms of technology and manufacturing sector, the high acceptance of new technology also plays an important role here in India. Regardless of countries' ambitious targets, India's EV space is at nation stage. However, looking at differently, India offers the world's largest untapped market, especially in the 2 and 3-wheeler segment. Also, there is 100% foreign direct investment allowed in this sector under the automatic route. Next slide, please. Let's look at the investment and development. The government also rolled out a production-linked incentive scheme for battery storage manufacturing, which will incentivize the domestic production of such batteries and reduce the dependence on import. Also, as a part of Paris Agreement in 2015, India committed to reduce the emission intensity of its gross domestic product by 33 to 35% over 2005 level by 2030. In order to meet its global commitment and mitigate adverse impact of the automobile, the government is keen to shift towards electric vehicle. The market of electric vehicle is expected to be valued at 2 billion by 2023. The government is also prioritizing the shift toward clean mobility and recent move to amend the faster adoption and manufacturing of hybrid and electric vehicle in India, which is called FAME2 policy. This is also giving electric vehicle more affordable and more reachable to the masses. Next slide, please. So, of course, it's very important government support, and government support is also boosting EV space in India. You name it, for example, charging stations. Charging stations do not need a separate license under the Electricity Act of 2003 as of April 2018. An outlay of 10,000 crores has been made to FAME2 policy For 3 years till 2022, INR 58597 crore has been set aside for incentive, and 1000 crore has been kept for charging infrastructure. So there is a lot of money available for electric vehicle component, battery production side, as well as charging infrastructure in the country. In terms of innovativeness, India also offers a playground for charging as a service. Ministry of Power has issued a notification clarifying a clause in the Electricity Act 2003 that charging for the purpose of an electric vehicle is classified as a service, and that no license is required for this business activity as well. And yes, the most important when it comes to investment, the FDI norms. 100% FDI is allowed under this sector, under the automatic route. Yep. So that's an overview of electric mobility in India. And this is obviously waiting to be explored by you. Yeah, that's my lucky day to be joined by amazing movers and shakers of the Indian electric vehicle ecosystem. I feel honored to introduce experts and founders coming from Bureau of Energy Efficiency, Yulu, Bluesmart Mobility. And special thanks to my colleagues, Mr. Sampath Kumar and Mr. Ramesh Kalnabat, for arranging such an amazing expert panel today. Now, with further ado, I would like to introduce Mr. Amit Gupta, CEO, Yulu, to give his presentation on electric two-wheeler in India and the road ahead. Over to you, Mr. Gupta.
Thanks, Ajay. It's a pleasure and honor to be speaking to this forum today. So talking about Yulu, we are trying to solve for traffic congestion and air pollution using this smart, shared, and electric vehicles, what we have created. What you are seeing on the screen is how our vehicles are looking. This is very unique form factor. We believe that when you are solving a problem, you also need a very special purpose vehicle. And that's what precisely we did. When we started this business in January 2018, we kicked off the service with pedal bicycle. But very soon, we realized that in India, where the weather condition is not very favorable for long distance bicycling, people were using them for almost 2 kilometers. But if you look at the opportunity and the pain point, we needed a solution which can cover 5 kilometers without any problem, not only in cities like Bangalore, but also Delhi and Bombay, where the temperature runs up to 30 degrees on a normal month, but it goes up to 45, 50 in summer season. And that's how the idea of electric mobility came into picture. And we started working towards building a vertically integrated ecosystem for electric mobility. When we decided to go electric back in 2018, there was not many ecosystem or infrastructure available in the country. For example, there was no vehicle which could have been used for our use case. There was no suitable battery for our environment. There was no charging system either. But Yulu decided to build everything brick by brick. And I'm so pleased to tell you that in last 3 years, our learnings have been very, very good. And we actually have built almost every component that is required to run this service in India. Today, we are India's largest electric mobility company. We have 10,000 vehicles on the road. And more importantly, we understand electric mobility probably the best in terms of durability, reliability, and coverage. We are very proud that company who is so young, we are making a true difference in the society. When we look at the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, we are contributing 6 out of 17. And it ranges from making cities better, gender priority, women empowerment, creation of jobs, saving the planet from carbon dioxide, greenhouse emission. So we are truly blessed when we look at this journey and we think that what we are doing actually matters to the world. You also heard how COVID-19 actually was a very, very bad for the mobility sector in general. But for Yulu, it actually brought a lot of tailwinds. Reason was that in our case, these vehicles are self-drive. So there's no co-passenger, there's no driver, which made our vehicles the safest. More importantly, they're also open, exposed to open air. And then last but not the least, we are also sanitizing our vehicles on a daily basis, making sure that these vehicles are safe for anyone who wants to use it. We're also, at least personally, I'm very happy that I was able to get a very solid co-founding team who is my partner in crime. So along with me, I have 3 more co-founders where I know each other for very, very long time. Before Yulu, I co-founded a mobile platform company called InMobi, which became India's first profitable unicorn. SoftBank, which is one of the very large VCs and investors in the world, we were the first investment for SoftBank Mastersan in India. During my InMobi journey, I also developed another platform called Glance, which is a content platform on lock screen. Any phone you buy from Xiaomi, Samsung, Oppo, Vivo in India, it comes pre-bundled with that. Glance became another company 3 to 4 months ago. It also became a unicorn when Google invested a large amount of equity investment in the company. Both of these initiatives, both InMobi as well as Glance, they were kind of a category creation. And what I believe that with Yulu, we are creating another category where, in a sense, we are defining mobility for India for the very, very large masses. For the first time, we believe that there is a solution set possible which we can deploy to solve mobilities of hundreds of millions of Indians. My other co-founder, R.K. Mishra, he went to the same school which I did, IIT Kanpur. He's 10 years senior to me. He's a serial entrepreneur, successful, made 2 companies and sold them. And then he decided to join Yulu after almost 8 to 10 years of taking a retirement from professional work. Naveen and I were batchmates. He was living in the US. When I told him about that, we should work on this problem, he decided to move to India. And Hemant and I were childhood friends. He was living in Amsterdam, which is, as you know, is a mecca for bicycling and sustainable mobility. He also decided to move to India. So he runs everything on the road, execution, and he comes from supply chain and ops background. This is how people in India travel for short distances. They are using, so if I step back, more than 80% people in India don't have any vehicle on their own. Only 20% people have their vehicle. And we are building a solution for 80% Indian who have no vehicle of their own. They are relying on public transportation. They're also, by the way, relying on these ways of traveling, which you can imagine, not only it is not convenient, but also they are risky. Anything else which is a kind of, you can say, a Western phenomena where you have your own car or you can get a car as a taxi, does not work for India at scale because of road space, limitation, as well as the financial affordability reasons. So what Yulu is trying to do, we are trying to make the short distance mobility better, safer, and more affordable. We are also looking at one more interesting opportunity where earlier our focus was to help people to go to their home for the work commute, which is their daily commute on a daily basis. But when COVID-19 hit us, most of these people started working from home. And then at the same time, they needed to be running their home and they need the grocery, the food and the medicines. And we saw how this whole e-commerce market in India expanded like crazy. Interestingly, all of these companies, they rely on the gig worker to deliver the good or the service to your home after you have clicked your mobile phone for something. Just like I mentioned that people to go to work, even these guys do not have vehicle of their own. And the companies who are e-commerce companies and food delivery companies, they also do not want to buy a vehicle and give it to them. Reason is these gig workers, they have a huge churn rate. So what industry statistics says that there's a churn rate of upward of 25% month on month. So even if, let's say, me as one e-commerce company give someone a vehicle, but tomorrow there's no guarantee where this guy is, and they don't have credit history or money to buy a vehicle. So we actually saw one more interesting opportunity to become mobility as a service for gig workers. So Yulu today has two interesting opportunities. One opportunity for daily commuter and second opportunity for the gig worker. And what we do, we provide these small shared electric vehicles which one can take using Yulu app, and they can pick up from thousands of our dedicated parking areas which we have created at metro station, bus station, commercial areas, shopping mall and residences, etc. And this is how Yulu journey has started. As I mentioned that we are catering to two different use cases, and to cater to these two use cases, we have two vehicles. They're built on the same platform. Both of them, they are running at a maximum speed of 25 km/h. And because of that, in India, there's a special permission given to them where it does not require any driving license. Just like vehicle ownership, which is less than 20%, the number of people who have a driving license in India is also less than 20%. So the people who do not have vehicle, very huge chance that they also do not have a driving license. And that's where our product set works really well, because they can actually use our vehicles to not only commute for work, but they can also use our vehicles to work, which is becoming a gig worker for the delivery companies. And this has been a game-changing thing for the industry and for the market. We are very proud that we have created this whole category in India. A couple of years ago, people were not very sure that how this whole thing will pan out, but we are very happy that we actually made that happen. We have a strategic partnership with India's top OEM called Bajaj Auto Limited, who actually has been helping us with R&D, and they're also working on developing our next generation product, which is far superior than what you're seeing on the screen. And we believe that that will bring a much needed differentiation and much better goodness to our business model going forward. Moving forward, from a company's perspective, what we have done, it's not a scooter company, we are not a battery company either. We basically have created this entire ecosystem where we have built a purpose-built vehicle, battery, charging station, parking station. We also have been working very from the front on the policy fronts, etc. And certainly there's a whole pieces of technology innovation which we have done in our journey in last few years. This is how our system works. We create these parking areas, which I was telling you, we call them Yulu zone, at every possible metro station, bus station, everything, and our users are able to pick vehicle from one area and then they drop it next to their destination. And this is how our system is working. And we have been given these parking slots by the city authorities, private entities, and also a lot of residential welfare associations. Good part is 98% of these parking stations are given to us in kind. We don't have to pay any money towards their rental. And this is probably one of its own implementation in the world, where everyone in the city, they came forward and they have contributed this help of real estate creating awareness for service like Yulu. So we are one of the very unique case studies in micro mobility when it comes to infrastructure creation for our use case. Moving forward, there are some interesting facts. When you create a B2C company, we are it's very common to see that companies are spending hundreds of millions of dollars in terms of customer acquisition. But in our case, because of our availability at all major points, we basically get a very, very good brand recall. Because of that, we don't have to spend any money in customer acquisition. Just like our parking areas, which I said, which are almost free, our customer acquisition cost is also zero. One of the big question comes to everyone's mind that, oh, these bikes are being placed without any supervision, you must be losing quite a lot of them. But you'll be very surprised with a combination of our process, sensors, technology, and some more interesting thing what we have developed over few years. We actually have been able to maintain our theft and vandalism rate at below 0.6%. Just to give you a sense, globally this number is approximately 2.5 to 3. We have been able to do at 0.6%. It's a very, very big accomplishment. The last piece, which actually is our #1 priority, is the safety of our users. There's also a confusion of popular myth that, oh, two-wheelers are not safe. Yeah, two-wheelers are not safe, that's true. But those two-wheelers are motorcycles, high-speed scooters. They are the one who will overtake a bus or a truck or a car, and someone else will be coming from the other side, they will hit, or there will be a pothole, or maybe sometime a speed breaker, or sometime a stray dog coming. In our case, because of the speed, you are never losing control. You are always being disciplined about your riding, and there's no, and actually, if you look at it, as I mentioned, that this is a bicycle, the accident number of fatal accident in our country where bicycle has met with an accident is 0.3%. So our vehicles are equivalent of bicycle where the accident rate in general is low. But then what we have done with our own safety and security, we actually have done well on this front as well. In terms of the innovation, we have made a lot of things in-house. Not only the bike which you saw on the screen, which was designed by us, and then we got a OEM to manufacture for us. We've also, by the way, made our own charging station, our own telematics, and also the battery and the BMS. And these designs and these hardwares, the reason we had to take things in our hand, because there was nothing available which could have helped us in the Indian context. There's a different infrastructure available in countries like UK, or for that matter, Austria and US. But in India, a lot of things are absent, and we actually had to make a lot of things. Apart from hardware, we also have 2 apps. One app is used by the end consumer. They locate the bike using Yulu app, scan the QR code, which helps them open the bike, and then they can also pay that. Everything happens without any intervention from any one of us from Yulu. So it's completely DIY experience for the end consumer. While we have made super simple user app, but the real brain of our operations and execution actually sits in the different app which is used by our operations team. This is where they are able to know that which bike requires preventive or reactive maintenance. We also have situations where there will be a lot of bikes present in one Yulu zone, one of the parking spots, but the demand is somewhere else. So we use a small vehicle to move these bikes from point A to point B. And this is also algorithmically driven, that how many bikes we should be moving from point A to point B, so that we can maximize our trips and our revenue for that for that particular day. And all of this leverages a lot of machine learning and artificial intelligence under the hood, which brings a lot of operational efficiency for our business. So if you look at our business holistically, it's not about the scooter, it's not about infrastructure only, but there's a lot of maths and algorithms coupled with your hardware and your execution capability, which actually does the magic, where the end consumer is able to find the bike at the right place, bike in working condition, bike which is charged, which is safe, and then they can take it to point A to point B frictionlessly in the safest manner, in the most affordable manner in the country. We have, as I mentioned, that we have our own in-house operations team who does almost every part of this of the operations under the hood. For the end consumer, they don't have to worry about repair, maintenance, battery charging, nothing. We basically get all the things sorted in the background. We work with cities very closely, and one of the big feature of that arrangement is that we also get a lot of help from the police department when there are cases which requires their intervention. And we are very thankful to the city authorities to not only promote sustainable mobility, but also help us from their administration bandwidth to run this service seamlessly and safely. Not only we don't have to spend money on customer acquisition, but also in terms of the brand building, we actually get a lot of goodness. We are covered by almost every tier 1 media, be it TV, print, any format you can think of, to an extent that Yulu actually has become a poster child for anything related to clean mobility, sustainable mobility. And there are a lot of things written about it, and people do all sort of things, not only the daily commute, but we have seen people doing their dates, their birthday parties sometime, or the wedding. We have seen a couple of folks who basically did their barat. And for those of you who are familiar with Indian wedding tradition, it's a very big deal. And some of the couples, they chose Yulu as their wedding procession. And we are very thankful and excited about their future. COVID-19, as I mentioned, that we were actually very resilient. We actually saw our numbers holding up. We doubled down on the safety narrative. And because of the safety part, we saw a lot of users moving from different mode of commute they were using in the past, like auto rickshaw, which we also call as tuk-tuk, buses, and app-based taxis, etc. And many of them started using Yulu because we were the safest way to move around in the town. And it changed the demography also under the hood. Earlier, most of our usage used to come from white-collar employees going for work, but then they started working from home. We started seeing these guys, actually some of them starting to use Yulu for their grocery, for their leisure trip. But then we were able to onboard a lot of new users, which were blue-collar, gray-collar, students, etc. And what we believe is, after situation becomes normal, the white-collar guys will come back, and then we will have a far larger user base than what we used to have before Corona. So overall, very, very good things have happened with us. And I covered that we are covering, we are making a direct impact to 6 sustainability development goal set by United Nations. Now going forward, Yulu has, as I said, 10,000 vehicles on the road. We are looking at the top cities as our major playground. And if we talk about the top 3 cities in the country by population, Yulu actually has an opportunity to deploy more than 500,000 vehicles. And these numbers, someone can look at, oh, this is a very big, crazy growth. But if you look at holistically, these numbers are very underboard. City like Bangalore, for example, has close to 5 million two-wheelers, and we are talking about Yulu will put close to 200,000 or 150,000 vehicles, two-wheeler, which is smart and connected. Yeah, it's a very, very small number. And we think that India market, which is highly underpenetrated in terms of having their own vehicle, you lose the solution, and numbers actually can be pretty large. But when we look at our own business plan for next 3 years, we believe that Yulu should have 500,000 vehicles across these 3 cities for sure. And overall, we are looking at deploying approximately 1,000,000 vehicles in next 3 to 4 years across top 7 to 8 cities in India. And the good part is that we have business running in all of these 3, so we know what we are doing. And this is more immediate plan, just to be clear. So rather than we adding more cities, we basically are laser focused on these 3 cities at the moment. And then our belief is that we will take this number very, very large, and then start, and by the time Corona and issue related to Corona is also behind us, then we will add more cities into our service network. We enjoy a very, very deep partnership with Bajaj. So as I mentioned that not only they are helping us with the vehicle R&D and manufacturing, but also they have opened up their entire dealership network, which is becoming hub for Yulu repair and maintenance. They also are exporting their products in 70 markets. We have an opportunity from Yulu to take Yulu service to different countries along with their partnerships. And there are certain some more interesting opportunities which we will be doing. We believe that Yulu and Bajaj put together, we are in a very, very very good and strong situation to capture the mobility market in India in a very meaningful manner. And we are truly honored and excited about our association. But the story for Yulu does not end at only some of the things which I mentioned, which is people and the goods. We believe that we have a lot of upside in the market, where not only the people mobility, but we started tinkering on the goods mobility. We're also, by the way, launching a high-speed scooter which can solve for the longer distance use case. There's an opportunity for us to do something on the data and the maps side. And last but not the least, the IoT hardware what we have created, or the charging station network we have created, even they can be infrastructure for many other companies and newer business models for us to tap into. And we believe that Yulu can be tens of billions of dollars worth value creation over next 5 to 7 years in India. So with that, I conclude my session. I'll hand it over back to Ajay. Thank you, Ajay.
Thank you, Mr. Gupta, for the insightful presentation. It's really great to see the such an innovative technology and the concept. Also, very successful implementation, because obviously we have so many concepts going on, but the implementation is the main part. I have one question for you from the audience. Let me just read it out to you. So how you see the European ecosystem different from the Indian EV space? And the second part of the question is, what are the opportunities is for our Austrian companies, startups, investors for the Indian EV ecosystem?
Yeah, so I would say that from a readiness perspective, the European countries are far more ready in adopting what Yulu is doing. It is our country and the state in which we are. So, for example, many European cities, they have already adopted electric mobility in a very meaningful manner. Second thing is the weather condition is pretty good for them to be using these kind of vehicles very, very easily. And infrastructure wise also, they have far better road conditions. And all of these basically we had to build in India. I believe with the anti-car sentiment, which is going very strong in European cities particularly, we saw how Paris created this 15-minute vision, which is very fascinating. I have been to, by the way, Austria. It's one of my most favorite countries, and I have fond memories of using public transportation, using the same card. I was allowed to use whatever I can, and not even a single time I missed that, oh, I don't have a car. And remind you, when I went there, I went with my family. I had kid who was like 5 years old, and everything was very, very convenient. And I believe that the public transportation system, anyways, is very, very good. But the problem is there were actually cars, and I think that those cars can be reduced by adopting solutions like Yulu, and this will make things even better. And I'm sure that Austria as a country is very ambitious, and they are also a role model for many countries when it comes to mobility and adopting sustainability goals. So Yulu would be very, very excited to collaborate with one of the companies or organizations who is already doing some work. I don't think that Yulu can do it on its own, because you do need a lot of local expertise, relationship with the government. But what we are doing and what we have done, the hardware, the technology stack, some of the know-hows, which we can very easily take it to other countries. As I was mentioning, the partnership with Bajaj is also enabling Yulu to take Yulu's system and solution to 70 plus markets. Same template we would actually love to explore with Austria as well, if there is some interest.
Yes, sure. I'm very confident about the offering, and I'm very confident that our companies would be looking to have a handholding with you very soon. And with that, thank you, Mr. Gupta. And now, without further ado, I would like to request Bureau of Energy Efficiency to enlighten us with the keynote and presentation on e-mobility energy consumption in India. Over to you.
Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rajiv, Project Engineer, Bureau of Energy Efficiency. I'm working on this e-mobility program from way back from 2017. We have started this program from scratch in Bureau of Energy Efficiency. So the major role of Bureau of Energy Efficiency is on this EV charging infrastructure. So we are the central nodal agency under Ministry of Power for deployment of these charging infrastructure, helping state nodal agencies, state designated agencies, charge point operators. So we have also a program on this promotion of this e-mobility in India. We have recently launched this program in February. So from 2017, we have role of Bureau of Energy Efficiency evolved as time happened. So from 2017, first Ministry of Power nominated us the nodal agency under Clean Energy Ministerial, in which we have selected 3 cities, 3 pilot cities. First is Delhi, Lucknow and Nagpur, for deployment of this charging infrastructure. So in 2018, Ministry of Power issued the clarification. So initially it was very tough to install charging infrastructure in India, but they have issued a clarification stating that the setting up of EV charging station is a delicensed activity under this Energy Electricity Act. So from that, it is very easy for the charge point operator to install charging station without any hurdle. After that, Ministry of Power issued the charge guidelines and standard for this deployment of charging infrastructure in India for public charging. So we have a major role for under Ministry of Power for this charging infrastructure. So we have also a project management unit in our BE for helping out the state nodal agencies. We have done so many work with Department of Heavy Industry for incentive dispersal to the charge point operators under under this FAME scheme. We have also benchmarked the price of EVSCs for this incentive program. So this was the timeline from 2017 to till date, in which we have we have a long way. We have covered a long way under this Go Electric e-mobility. So the charging infrastructure guideline issued by the Ministry of Power has major 5 roles, which the aim of this guideline is to set up the safe charging stations, and the tariff of the tariff should be affordable for charge point operators as well as individuals. The objective of these guidelines is to create the public charging infrastructure in urban areas as well as on the road sides. So the major role of these guidelines is adopted by our major departments like Housing of Urban Affairs. They have also follow our guideline. So for these guidelines, we have some minimum standards they have to follow by the charge point operators. The installed charging charging station, or you can say EVSC, it must be NABL tested, and the charging station must follow the guidelines issued by the Central Nodal Agency. CEA, Central Electricity Authority. They have issued the safety and connectivity regulations. So each CPO has to follow the safety guidelines. If any charge point operator install a charging stations, they have to rope with the national service provider, so the individual can book their slots on their mobiles. So in the guidelines we have loads of protocols which is popular in the US, China, Japan, and Europe. So we have considered the major protocols adopted worldwide for this EV infrastructure. So in the guidelines we have mentioned that the public charging station should be in 3x3 grid in the urban area, and on the road side it should be in 25-kilometer distance from both sides. So and for tariff we have covered that we have kept it should be average cost of supply plus 15%. Not more than that. So we have around 28 states in India who have notified their EV tariff, which is as per our Ministry of Power guidelines. So in case of service charge, if a charge point operator install this charging infrastructure with the help of government subsidy, so in every state nodal agency or appropriate department will fix the capping if the charging infrastructure is installed with the help of our government subsidy. In the guideline we have 2 phases. In first phase we will focus the installation in the 4 million plus cities, in which we have recently started to evaluate the land availability and other activities of SNAs. So we are in process of developing an action plan for deployment of this charging infrastructure in the major 9 cities in phase 1. So as I have already mentioned that B is the nodal agency under Clean Energy Ministerial. So in this Clean Energy Ministerial, we have also launched this workshop in November 2019, and we have selected 3 major cities, Delhi, Lucknow, and Nagpur, for deployment. Initially, we have selected these cities in 2017. So this is the snapshot of our workshop, which we have conducted with the help of International Energy Agency. And in this webinar, we have more than 300 attendees with different manufacturer and charge point operators. NSP has also participated in these meetings. So recently we have launched this awareness campaign, which is the major part under this e-mobility, in which we have covered all the states. In the states, we have state nodal agencies which are conducting this Go Electric awareness campaign weekly. They have approaching these consumers on these radio jingles, newspapers. So this initiative is, I think, very important to have to impart the knowledge among the consumers. What are the benefits of electric mobility over these IC vehicles? So the major component of this Go Electric campaign are road shows, workshop, webinar, talk shows, which are conducted weekly, media campaign on. We have posting regularly on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook page of state designated agency, nodal agencies, and our B on our B page. So recently we have conducted these 9 meetings with the stakeholders, in which we have covered state nodal agencies, state designated agencies, land owning agency, charge point operator, welfare associations, equipment manufacturers, EV manufacturers, discoms, in which we have find out that the major challenges are, as these are mentioned, as land availability, because charge point operator have this land availability issue for installation of charging stations. They want that EV tariff should be uniform all over the India, which we have proposed to our ministry. They want to increase this load limit connection, LT load connection limit. So they want that the charging they can have this electricity on through this open access, and they also want the upstream infrastructure subsidy. So we have also recommended these challenges to our ministry, so that we can solve these issues as soon as we can. So for deployment of public charging infrastructure in urban areas and on the roadside. So we have also draft a program of star labeling of lithium-ion batteries, in which the Ministry of Power has give us the NOC to launch this program. So in the next few months, we will be able to launch this program, voluntary program for this advanced chemistry cell, in which initially we have covered lithium-ion batteries and systems for star labeling. Okay, thank you very much. This was from the Central Nodal Agency or Bureau of Energy Efficiency for this e-mobility charging infrastructure in India.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rajiv, for your amazing presentation. And so my question would be, what is the government's support if a foreign company wants to join charging infrastructure ecosystem in India?
Yes, sir. So if any European company want to come up in India for this charging infrastructure, so they have to rope in with the charge point operators. They can come up with a consortium, because presently we are considering major central PSUs and state PSUs for deployment of public charging infrastructure. If they want to come for this manufacturing, they have to tie up with the agencies, I think, which is I think open to all. We have not restricted, as I have already mentioned, we have adopted the European protocol as well, CCS type 2 and CCS 2 and type 2 chargers. We have also incorporated in our guidelines. We have also these protocols of Japan as well as the US protocols. We have also adopted in our guidelines.
Sure. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your wonderful presentation. And finally, we have Mr. Punit K. Goyal, co-founder Bluesmart Mobility. Mr. Goyal, a very warm welcome to you. You may start now.
Thank you so much, Ajay. Hi, everyone. We are building India's largest all-electric ride-hailing service in India. We started our operations in June 2019 with a fleet of about 70 odd cars. Over the last 2 years, we have now grown 8x. We have a fleet currently of about 512 electric cars in Delhi, which is the largest fleet of electric cars in India. We also have the largest fast charging stations for any company in India. We currently have 300 fast charging stations, which are in Delhi NCR. We have completed till now 500,000 trips, and we have also covered about 17 million zero emission kilometers in the last 2 years across Delhi NCR. We founded Bluesmart on 3 founding tenets, which we laid out before starting Bluesmart. The first was that all ride-hailing fleets globally are now shifting to electric. Obviously, because we have massive benefits of the lower fuel cost in terms of the entire benefit of the lower cost of the battery, the cost of the electric cars are coming down substantially. And we will see that all ride-hailing fleets globally and also in India, which are in the public transportation domain, will eventually become electric and over the next 10 years. So we wanted to lead India on the path to a better future, on the path to zero emissions. And with this mission, we started our ride-hailing service in June 2019. Currently, we only operate in Delhi NCR, and we have served about 500,000 customers over the last 18 months since launch. Obviously, we saw the pandemic 1.0 and 2.0, which kind of affected our operations, but we were steadfast and we were resilient and we bounced back. Today, we are doing about 2,200 chips per day, and we're doing about 60,000 chips per month. 60,000 customers are being served by us, and we're also growing about 20% on a monthly basis. In terms of Ajay, can you help me with the slides? So we have a very clear focus. The entire business is right now in Delhi NCR for 2 reasons. We believe that Delhi NCR is the largest transportation market in India. Also in terms of population, Delhi NCR has a population of 46 million, which is the largest in India for transportation. 20% of the entire mobility and the ride-hailing market of India is Delhi. So that was one reason to start our business in Delhi. And second was, it's also very polluted. Delhi and Gurgaon are the world's most polluted cities, and also Delhi is the world's most polluted capital. 46 million people live in Delhi NCR, which is equivalent to Spain as a country. And it's a huge, huge opportunity for fleets like Bluesmart to probably make a dent and to create, to change the way ride-hailing has been in Delhi NCR. At Bluesmart, we are trying to significantly elevate the customer's experience in Delhi NCR. We launched the first product, which was the zero ride denial from our side, which is the industry first product for ride-hailing. We also launched the first product in ride-hailing, which was zero surge pricing. So we don't do any surge on the consumer side, and we don't do any ride denial for the customers. And we are seeing some great traction, some great love from the customers, and they are choosing to take a Bluesmart because of our high-end service that we give for our customers. Also in these COVID-19 times, we did some innovation. As a consumer of Bluesmart in Delhi, the consumer can see the last time of car sanitization on the app of Bluesmart, which is the industry first feature for ride hailing in India. The consumer can also see the vaccination status of the driver partner who is driving the car, which is also an industry first feature for ride hailing in India. And also the customer can see the body temperature of the driver partner, which is driving the car. And these are industry first features, which currently we launched, and our competition is probably, they don't have these features, and these are industry first features. And this led to great customer love from the consumers. The next slide, thank you. We are building Bluesmart on 3 founding tenets. One of the founding tenets of Bluesmart is the supply side innovation. So before we came into existence, we had a supply side model which was largely driven by incentives, and drivers had to buy cars, not electric cars, buy cars and bring it on the platform to drive. So we thought that we should change the entire supply side model. And at Bluesmart, we lease cars from global leasing companies. We have tied up for the next 25,000 cars. Currently, we have 512 cars on road. We are adding 200 cars per month. We'll be scaling to about 3,400 cars under the lease model, where we lease electric cars from global leasing companies. We sublease these cars to driver partners. So we are creating inclusive, equitable economic opportunities for driver partners who today have no stress of asset ownership. And without any stress of asset ownership, they can drive on our platform. So that's one of the founding tenets, and we are addressing their challenges of the volatility in the fuel cost and no stress of basically buying a car, because we firmly believe that the core skill set of the driver is to drive and not bring an asset on the table and then drive. And we were able to mitigate that, and that's one of the founding tenets. Next. The biggest challenge that we see for customers before we came into existence was the entire ride-hailing model for the customer. The customers in India had 2 huge challenges which we identified. One was massive ride denials, and second was massive surge pricing. So an average 10-kilometer ride or 6.2-mile ride would cost a consumer about $3.50 in Delhi, with massive surge, which was a huge pain point for customers. The second challenge that we saw, which we wanted to address, was massive ride denials. So if you take a ride-hailing service in Delhi NCR, which is not Bluesmart, and you try and summon the car, 50% the ride will be denied, and 50% of the times you may get a ride. That also there's no confirmation. The ride could be cancelled last minute, and it was a huge challenge for consumers, and they were dealing with this ride denial challenge. So we launched industry first product of 0 ride denials and 0 surge pricing. There's no ride denial button on the driver app of Bluesmart, which means in layman language that every single ride which is generated is completed by Bluesmart, and we have completed 500,000 trips since launch. In terms of surge pricing, we don't do any surge, and we wanted to build a reliable ride-hailing service. We believe that public transportation should be very transparent, and the pricing should be very, very transparent. And the consumer can see the pricing on the Bluesmart app for whatever distance the consumer wants to travel, maybe 10 kilometers, 20, from 0 to 30 kilometers or even more, in a very transparent mechanism. And the average 10-kilometer ride or 6.2-mile ride on Bluesmart is about $2.40, and we don't surge. So we are significantly cheaper than any other mode of transportation or any other mode of public transportation or ride hailing in Delhi NCR. And this was the third founding tenet on which we are building Bluesmart, was to create an affordable and reliable ride-hailing service for the customers who can use Bluesmart at any time of the day without a single ride denial. Also, electric cars are great for the environment. They have 0 tailpipe emissions, and for these reasons, we chose electric cars to run India's first full-stack zero-emission ride-hailing service. Going forward, with the increase in pollution, transportation also, we found in our research that transportation contributes today, maybe not tomorrow could be even higher, but today transportation contributes nearly 30% of all the global greenhouse GHG emissions, all the greenhouse gas emissions in Delhi NCR is because of transportation. and all transportation modes, public or private, eventually have to turn electric. So we chose electric cars to ensure that the AQI levels, the air quality index, especially in the winter season, is very, very badly affected. We see cities like Delhi and Gurgaon, which see AQI levels of close to about 250 to 450, which is very, very dangerous. And if we see global cities like London, they always stay between AQI levels of 1 to 3 or maybe 1 to 5. And cities in the US are from 0 to 2 to 40. So levels of 400 are really, really dangerous for the generations to come. And at Bluesmart, we have a mission to ensure that we significantly improve the air quality index, and that will happen with largely from public transportation. If public transportation goes all electric, which are buses, autos, two-wheelers, and four-wheelers, that will really, really help bring down the pollution status quo in Delhi NCR. Next. This is our journey. So we started off in June 19 with a very small fleet. We took a massive bet, and we started in a highly competitive landscape with just 70 cars. But despite the pandemic, we have grown 8.2x. Today, we have a fleet of 512 cars, and 82% of all electric cars in Delhi NCR, which are electric, are of Bluesmart. And going forward, we'll be scaling and adding 250 cars per month from the month of August and September onwards. And Bluesmart will have a fleet size of close to 3,400 cars by August of 2022. In terms of EV charging infra, we also figured out that to run a massive ride-hailing service, you also need to have EV charging infra. So we created dedicated EV charging infrastructure. Today, Bluesmart also has 301 EV fast charging and slow charging stations across Delhi NCR. Next. The biggest differentiator for us over our competition is that we are absolutely asset light. We do not own any of our assets. We have partnered with leasing companies, with driver partners, with technology owners, with charging infra owners, and we integrate the entire platform. We connect all the dots, and we bring the charging stations on an asset supply on an asset light model, and also electric cars on an asset light model. We don't own any of them. We manage the entire platform. In terms of technology, the Bluesmart app has been now downloaded 250,000 times since launch in a very short period of 18 months. Our app store rating is 4.9 on iOS across 250,000 app downloads, across 500,000 trips, across 17 million kilometers. And our app store rating on Android is 4.8, which is across 500,000 trips completed across 17 million kilometers. So we were able to build a very, very strong technology from ground up. We have an in-house team of about 45 people who work on technology, and we have an overall team of about 102 people, largely driven by the tech team. We are from the driver side, besides being a zero-emission ride-hailing service, which is great for the environment, great for the society, great for the ecosystem, great for everybody living in Delhi NCR, we are also significantly improving the quality of lives of the driver partners who today are getting economic opportunities, who today are getting equitable economic opportunities to drive without any stress of asset ownership. So we are seeing that result in great customer experience, because if the driver sticks to his job of driving the asset well, driving the car well, which also means that the consumers will benefit and will get a much better consumer experience and a much better ride-hailing experience. And our innovative driver partner model helped us achieve that. And we don't do any surge, we don't do any ride denials, and because of which we got some great customer love from our consumers. We also today have the highest consumer spend per active consumer. An active consumer of Bluesmart spends nearly $18 every month on the app of Bluesmart, which is 3x of the India number if you compare us with our incumbents, and which is 1.8x of the global ride-hailing number. And that was because of our customer-centric, consumer-centric approach of addressing the pain points of the consumer. Next. This is exactly what Bluesmart business model looks like. What you see here is an amazing EV ecosystem. So the electric cars are on lease, the EV charging stations are also on lease, the entire EV super hub. This is one of the pictures of EV super hubs of Bluesmart. So what we could also do in this short period of 18 months is to build India's largest network of EV fast charging stations, and that too also across 5 or 6 large EV super hubs. These are the largest EV super hubs in the world and the largest of the Eastern Hemisphere. Each EV super hub can accommodate, park, charge hundreds of cars every single hour. We have created already the infrastructure for the next 5,000 cars, which will be coming on the platform of Bluesmart over the next 14 to 16 months. And that's a huge advantage. That's a massive moat for us, because wherever the real estate space was available across Delhi and Gurgaon, we could tap into that and we could lease the land, get the power energy connection, and build out the largest EV super hubs. And that allows us to keep our cars on the road. We also have the highest utilization for the EV fast charging network, while other companies are in their early teens or trying to meet the double-digit numbers. Between 7% to 13% is the utilization of the global EV charging infra companies, the top 5 global EV companies, charging companies. The utilization at Bluesmart is about 35%. So we are 4x of the global benchmark number and about 10x of the other EV standalone EV charging companies. So with this entire full stack model, we were able to demonstrate at a very early stage that you can build India's largest EV charging network and the EV ride-hailing service and connect the dots to build a full EV ecosystem. And that has been the biggest moat for Bluesmart and has really allowed us to scale since we launched. Next. So what you see on the screen today is the best ride-hailing metrics in the world, electric or non-electric. As a consumer of Bluesmart, an average consumer of Bluesmart spends nearly $18 every single month on the app of Bluesmart. An active consumer of Bluesmart also does about 7.5 trips per month on the app of Bluesmart, which is also about 2x of the Indian incumbents and also close to about 1.2x of the global number. Next. We currently have about 6 EV super hubs which are operational and functional. And as we speak right now, we're also building 10 more EV super hubs across Delhi NCR. We will scale to about 850 EV fast charging stations by the next year, same time by July, August of 2022. And we will scale to about 1,500 slow charging stations around the same time, which will be the largest EV charging stations, one of the largest EV charging stations, second to China, and the largest in India by April of 22. Currently, we also have the largest network of EV fast charging stations for any company in India. Next. This is my founding team. I'm joined by my co-founder Anmol. Myself and Anmol have spent close to about 12 years, each of us, in the renewable space. We have built out one of India's largest solar power plants and also one of India's early stage solar power plants in 2010, 11, 12. This is my stellar team below. My co-founder Tushar, he's ex-Uber, has a mobility experience of 9 years. We have a massive support from the government. I think we could scale over the last 2 years because of the positive moves from the government. The FAME 2 subsidy has been absolutely beneficial for Bluesmart. India has one of the best EV policies in the world. The FAME 2 incentive was launched by Government of India to really accelerate the adoption of electric mobility, manufacturing, and also electric mobility in terms of services. And utilizing the FAME 2 subsidy, we could scale from 0 cars to 512 cars. The FAME 2 subsidy is applicable for 55,000 cars, and we have only a fleet of 512 cars. In Delhi NCR, the FAME subsidy has been used for only 600 odd cars, 630 odd cars. So we see also a massive opportunity for companies like Bluesmart to benefit from FAME 2. Also, the government reduced the GST for electric cars to 5%. And also for EV charging stations to 5%. And again, at Bluesmart, we have been a massive beneficiary of this tailwind of the support from the government. And I firmly believe, and we firmly believe, that Government of India is really, really focused on the mission electric because they know that India has a massive challenge of oil imports. So we need to shift to electric to probably enjoy the delta, the differential between the operating a car on conventional fuel, which is extremely high, and operating the cost on electric, which is just 1 rupee 25 paise per kilometer, about 70-80% less than petrol and diesel, and probably half of CNG. So that's a huge benefit that we have, especially in countries like India, which the biggest fuel base for us has been petrol and diesel, which now we believe that over the next 10 years will be electric. Thank you so much for this. Happy to answer if there are any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goyal. Thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. Your company is doing really great job. And I have a strong feeling that our audience must be looking to establish a connection with you. And let me see. Yeah, wonderful. So my reminder well paid off. We have many questions. And this is for you. Okay, so the question is how safety of the passenger traveling in the ride sharing is taken care of during the pandemic. And also this is the second part of the question. What are the opportunities for Austrian companies with Bluesmart? So first is how the safety is taken care of, especially this time.
Sure. So like I said that we have a massive innovation for customers, and during the pandemic time, we launched this feature on our app where the consumer can see the body temperature of the driver which is driving the car, which is the first in the ride-hailing space in Asia. No other ride-hailing company allows you to see the body temperature of the driver which is driving your car, which is a massive innovation. As a consumer of Bluesmart, the customer can also see the vaccination status of the driver. So the driver has been fully vaccinated. There'll be a gold symbol flashing on the consumer's app saying that the driver which is driving your car has been fully vaccinated. That really adds to the comfort factor of the customer, which is the industry first feature, again, for ride-hailing in Asia. And the third is the last time of car sanitization. So we sanitize the car after every single ride, and the driver inputs the last time of car sanitization, which is also transparently visible to the consumer. And as a consumer of Bluesmart, you can see these industry first features on the consumer app, and that really allows the customers to believe that they are taking a very, very reliable service in these COVID pandemic times. Also, we don't deny a single ride. So we don't want a customer to wait for us and at the last moment we'll cancel the ride. We knew that especially in times of COVID, that will be very, very important. So we don't also deny a any single ride from our side.
Yeah, perfect. And there is another question. Where does the power of charging, because you mentioned charging infrastructure is also part of Bluesmart. Where does the power of charging of the future electric vehicle comes from? Is it water, power, nuclear, thermal? This is the general question. Of course, electric vehicles are as good as the power is, right?
So Ajay, right now, 40% of the total energy mix of India installed capacity is now renewable. And that's only going up and not going south. It's only going north. And we believe that, and even if you see the installed capacity for coal-based power plants in India today is 200 gigawatts, and the total renewable installed capacity is 100 gigawatts. In the last 10 years, it's grown by 5.5x. So we really see that the overall energy mix of India is also shifting towards renewable. So maybe as a layman answer could be that yes, if we draw 100 units today, 40 units are renewable and 60 units could be because India's energy mix is tilted towards the non-renewables today. But that's not the scenario tomorrow. And tomorrow we see that with each passing quarter, each passing year, and each passing half a decade, that numbers will change significantly, where tomorrow in 2030, maybe about 70% of India's energy mix or 65% of India's energy mix would be from renewable, the way the solar power plants and the wind power plants are being installed in India, and which happened over the last 10 years, will be replicated over the next 10 years.
Sure. Thank you very much. And then please answer my last question about the Austrian companies. What are the business opportunities they can explore together with Bluesmart in India?
So it's a massive opportunity. There are investors which are looking to invest in the ESG space, which are looking to invest in to create substantial impact. We probably welcome all investors from Austria to invest in Bluesmart and partner with us in terms of scaling our services. Also in terms of any technology player from Austria which is wanting to enter India, we are happy for collaborations, and maybe we can learn few things from that company. But yes, we look forward to any partnerships, any company which is in the mobility space or the ride-hailing space doing well in Austria. We welcome them to India, and we look forward to learn from them and partner with them.
Sure. Thank you very much, Mr. Goyal. It's been a pleasure having you today with us. And with that, let me say thanks to all of our speakers for making this webinar as interesting as possible. Thank you so much, Mr. Diddi, Mr. Gupta, Mr. Goyal, for being with us today. Now, as we move, I would like to give you an overview of our upcoming webinar. On October 7, we will have our webinar, India and the Revolution of Logistics. So if you are interested in logistics, I would highly advise you to join. Next, we will have our webinar on future of food. This will give you a very in-depth insight of Indian market and the future of food. This will be on 2nd of November. Then we have Austria Showcase. This is Bangalore Tech Summit 2021 in November again. It will be most probably a hybrid event. So again, a good opportunity to join online from your location. You don't have to travel or make plans. We can try our best to bring it to you in a power-packed digital event for your convenience till the situation improves and we see each other in the person. And of course, nothing can replace that. So if you'd like to know more about our latest news and travel advisory and business opportunity, you can find it all that here on our latest news on bikao.rt. Also, our webinar you can watch again on our YouTube channel as per your convenience, anytime from anywhere. You just have to log into our YouTube channel. So thank you so much for our speakers for giving your wonderful presentation and sharing your thoughts with us. Also, thanks to my colleagues here in India and in Austria for extending support and making it possible to conduct this webinar. A huge thanks to the audience for joining us today. Thanks for taking out time from your busy schedule. I invite you and hope you will join us for our next digital events. And of course, when it's possible to travel to India again very soon, we are here for you and happy to help you. Looking forward to welcoming you to Incredible India. Until then, please take care of each other. Namaste and Auf Wiedersehen. Thank you.